Bonjour et bienvenue à notre réunion de midi. Nous avons quelques annonces pour vous avant de passer à vos questions. D'abord, permettez-moi d'attirer votre attention sur le paquet d'infractions du mois d'octobre que nous avons publié hier, étant donné que nous n'avons pas eu notre réunion de midi habituelle. Les décisions prises dans le cadre de ce paquet d'infractions incluent 35 lettres de mise en demeure et 11 avis motivés. De plus, la Commission a décidé de soumettre 8 affaires à la Cour de justice de l'Union européenne. Enfin, la Commission a décidé de clôturer 59 dossiers dans lesquels les États membres concernés ont mis fin à une infraction et assuré le respect du droit de l'Union. Ça, c'est les bonnes nouvelles dans le paquet d'infractions. Et vous trouverez plus d'informations dans le matériel de presse que nous avons publié hier. Maintenant, on a quelques bonnes nouvelles sur le paiement instantané et j'invite Olof à nous dire plus là-dessus.
Today we have very good news for our citizens across the euro area. Thanks to new rules on instant payments, people and businesses can now transfer money in the euro currency within seconds. They can do so in every eurozone country, anytime, day or night, weekdays or weekends. So, how does it work? In a nutshell, payment service providers in the euro area are now obliged to offer their clients the service of sending instant payments in euro. This will boost Europe's economy and bring major benefits for citizens and companies alike. For citizens, money is available immediately, making it far easier, for example, to deal with emergencies or splitting bills in social settings. For companies, cash flow management will be improved, as will customer service. By providing an additional payment method to customers, they will save time and reduce costs. As always, you can find more information in our press release, which is now online. Thank you.
Thank you, Olof. Et je reviens en français et on passe un petit rappel. Les ministres de l'économie et des finances sont au Luxembourg aujourd'hui pour une réunion de l'Eurogroupe. Les commissaires Dombrovskis et Albuquerque y représenteront la Commission cet après-midi et échangeront avec les ministres sur la situation macroéconomique et budgétaire, ainsi que sur la préparation des réunions annuelles du groupe de la Banque mondiale et du Fonds monétaire international à Washington. Ils discuteront également de l'union des marchés des capitaux et des développements récents concernant les stablecoins. Le commissaire Dombrovskis participera à la conférence de presse à l'issue de cette réunion aux alentours de 18h45. Donc, nous vous invitons à réserver vos questions relatives à l'économie et aux finances pour cette conférence de presse dédiée à 18h45. Permettez-moi d'attirer votre attention aussi sur une déclaration à la presse que Madame la Présidente von der Leyen fera à côté du Président de la République de l'Afrique du Sud, Cyril Ramaphosa, aux alentours de 16h20 au VIP Corner ici, au Berlaymont, en marge du Global Gateway Forum. Finally, I would like to welcome a group of visitors that are joining us today. You are 20 journalists coming from Sweden. I hope you enjoy your time in the European Commission, a warm welcome, and hope you enjoy also this press moment with our journalists accredited in Brussels. A warm welcome to you. And that's all for our announcements today. We can take now your questions. I'm starting here in the very middle.
Thank you. Two questions related to energy. Vibor Vlajinic, Croatian Radio Television. So first question is, yesterday Croatia and Hungary started negotiating about Hungary using the Adriatic pipeline, which is in Croatia. That's not a bilateral question. It's also related to the energy security of the European Union, because if they make a deal, that makes way for Hungary to give up on the Russian oil. So I would like to ask, is the Commission following this issue, and how does the Commission view the entire topic, and what would be a favorable solution? Thank you. And another question after this.
So we start our midday with energy. Anna Kaiser.
As we have said before, we have followed very, very closely first of all the ongoing tests between MOL and JANAF on this pipeline, and how it can increase the use of the Adria pipeline. So this is very much it's welcome news. We are of course monitoring and we are being informed about these talks, but we are not part of them. So therefore I would leave the commenting to the two parties that are conducting these talks, but it is clear that this is welcome news, and we have been following closely when they've had the capacity tests in the past weeks.
And you have a second question, go ahead.
Yeah, also the situation with the Serbian oil company, which is owned by Russia. It just got taken by the American sanctions, which means also that the Adriatic pipeline in Croatia is in problem financially, because a third of its income is related to the Serbian oil company, which is owned by Russia. So how does the Commission view this subject? I think the Croatian minister also suggested Croatia taking over or buying the control package of Serbian oil company.
This is also now slightly related to the sanctions regime. I do not have all the latest details of the negotiations that have been taking place, but what remains important for us is that Hungary and Slovakia indeed are finding alternative suppliers for both gas and oil. That has been very much the topic of discussion in the context of the Repower EU plan. So on this specific oil company now and its ownership and how it relates to the sanctions in place, this is something that on the latest details that refer to the discussions that have been taking place between the company representatives and politicians in the region. This is something that I will have to check, because again the Commission would be not part of those talks, but we obviously have our contacts at technical and political level with everybody concerned, so we would be aware, but let me check on the latest.
Still on energy, and for Anna Kaiser, David, please.
Hi. I was wondering, in terms of the concerns that, in terms of continuing imports of Russian oil, how do you see these talks between Croatia and Hungary impacting on the phase-out of Russian oil? Thanks.
Hungary and Slovakia both have an exemption. Oil is sanctioned under the sanctions regime, Russian oil, and Hungary and Slovakia have an exemption to this. So we have, of course, been encouraging, as part of the Repower plan, both of these member states to find alternative sources, and we have been made very clear that we stand with member states. We have been organising different kinds of meetings at various different levels, both political, both technical, to ensure that we can help as much as we can in facilitating, in having discussions of the alternatives, etc. I do not have any further comments to make on these particular discussions taking place between two government representatives, but it is something that is very much on our radar. Russian oil is sanctioned. Hungary and Slovakia have an exemption, and then of course it is all the better if they do in long-term find alternatives.
Thank you. You have a follow-up, David?
Sorry, David. So you have no, I mean, to summarise, you have no concerns that the continuation of this contract might jeopardise some of the goals of, the goal of phasing out Russian oil?
Before commenting on any contracts made by anybody, and usually the contracts are made by companies, by private companies, and we do not have access to all of the information on these commercial contracts. That is the first point. But obviously you're now talking about political level, of political understandings of who gets to use what. So before giving commentary from the Commission, we would need to have a very mature idea from both sides what is going on and what the decisions have been taken. We do not comment on ongoing talks between two member states. It is not our role to do it from here. What we want to see, obviously, and where we are supporting our member states, is to end up in a situation where all member states have found alternative supplies to Russian energy, which is our policy to phase out completely from the European Union.
Yes, still on energy. Go ahead.
Thank you, Paula. This is Magnus with Euractiv. It's on the Chinese decision to bolster export controls of rare earth minerals. Does the Commission see this decision as
Just wait a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, this one will not be for Anna Kaiser. We'll come back to it.
But I do then have another one that might be for Anna Kaiser. Specifically on this still.
Give it a go, give it a go.
I'll try. Which country is, if any, is the Commission in contact with to ensure a supply of rare earth minerals for the defence and in general trying to diversify sources of rare earth minerals outside of Chinese imports?
I see you like Anna Kaiser to reply to your questions, but we'll have to disappoint you. This one will be for another colleague. But we'll come to you. For Anna Kaiser? Yes, go ahead.
So it's on cars, so I assume it's for you, Anna Kaiser. So currently, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz is hosting an auto summit in Berlin. So I was wondering, how does the Commission view this very auto summit, given that Chancellor Merz is notorious for being critical of the phase-out plan of the Commission? And is the Commission still committed to the 2035 plan of phasing out the combustion engine?
We always support all kinds of summits and discussions on important policies, and obviously the future of the European automotive industry is definitely one of them. So I leave commentary to that as regards the German car summit. As to the 35 legislation that you referred to, I will go back to the previous strategic dialogue that President von der Leyen hosted here in Bergamo a couple of weeks ago, where they were discussing this very issue, and following the meeting we issued a short readout, basically in essence recalling the process, the public consultation that feeds into the work on the 2035 proposal actually finishes tomorrow on the 10th of October, and that will then be followed by an impact assessment that we do internally to assess where the direction of travel should be. And then, as President has said time and again, that we will come forward with the proposal as soon as possible. She is accelerating the work within the Commission, and hopefully by the end of this year we will know at least the main direction of travel, the main options on the table. But we have our processes that we want to respect, obviously, and always do so. So the public consultation still ongoing, finishes tomorrow, followed by impact assessment, and then we start working on the proposal.
Thank you, Anna Kaiser. Any other question for Anna Kaiser? I have two questions online. If they are not for Anna Kaiser, could you then put down your hands? We have one survivor, Marco Bresolin. Marco, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. Yes, it's a question on Russian gas and namely Russian LNG. Because so far on the table, member states, they have REPowerEU, who foresees a ban of import of Russian LNG by the end of 27, if I'm not wrong. And on the other side, they have the 19th sanction package, who basically foresee to anticipate the ban of 1 year. So I'm wondering what would happen if the member states will approve the 19 sanctions package, who foresees an anticipation of the ban compared to a regulation that is still not in place. And also, I mean, these two measures, they have two different legal bases. One is sanctions, is adopted by unanimity, the other one is by QMV, and it's on trade. So why the Commission decided not to use the same legal base in the hand? How could it be possible to combine the two different measures? Thank you.
What if, right, Marco? But we have two measures, indeed, as you very rightly said. We have two proposals on the table, and the two have the same objective, other means, but the same objective. So we'll need to see how it develops in the discussions with the Council and with the Council and the Parliament in the case of the REPowerEU, and then we'll see what comes first. Anything you'd like to add?
No, just to remind that the sanctions and our legislation serve two different purposes. They have, first of all, they have different scope. The sanctions in the 19th package, we propose a ban on Russian LNG, and then the REPower proposal that we refer to, that Paula said that is currently with the Council, that covers pipeline gas, LNG, and it makes a reference to oil as well. So the scope already is different, as well as the duration of these measures. Sanctions are per definition temporary, a short-term thing. When there's peace in Ukraine, it is very likely that we start rolling back sanctions. But our REPower legislation is for indefinitely, and its scope is different. So we have to also remember that we are targeting different things here. And then who decides what, and then at what schedule, what we have always said in the Commission, that the sooner the better. So obviously if the Member States and the European Parliament decide that, well, we actually want to have this legislation in place earlier, that is the prerogative of the co-legislators. But the timeline that you described of those years is absolutely correct.
Thank you, Anna Kaiser, for those useful clarifications and distinctions between the two proposals. Any other question to Anna Kaiser? Virginie?
Réponse que tu viens de faire. Effectivement, les sanctions, c'est que sur le LNG, mais donc les sanctions, ça doit être renouvelé tous les 6 mois. Donc ça veut dire, admettons qu'un jour, ça ne soit pas renouvelé. Ça veut dire quoi? Que l'interdiction du LNG avancé d'1 an, ça tombe? Les sanctions, ça doit être renouvelé. Comme tu l'as toi-même dit, c'est temporaire. Bon, dans le 19e paquet de sanctions, il y a donc une interdiction avancée d'1 an, donc à 2026, d'importer du LNG, du GNL russe. Si ces sanctions ne sont pas renouvelées, cette interdiction, est-ce qu'elle tombe juridiquement?
Il faut les adopter, n'est-ce pas, Virginie?
Oui. D'accord, mais... Ok, mais c'est quand même une question, puisque la question était sur ces deux bases juridiques, ces deux instruments. Donc
d'abord, il faut les adopter. Ce n'est pas encore le cas, ni pour l'un ni pour l'autre. Et une fois adoptées, effectivement, s'il s'agit des sanctions, elles seront temporaires et elles dépendent d'une rénovation. Tout à fait.
Ça veut dire quoi? Pour REPowerEU, je veux dire, c'est quand même une question. Si elles ne sont pas renouvelées, bon, je sais, c'est hypothétique, mais enfin bon, en même temps, ça peut arriver. Donc ça veut dire que l'interdiction d'importer du GNL russe à fin 2026 au lieu de fin 2027, n'existe plus. Si les sanctions ne sont pas renouvelées, on est d'accord.
Explique la raison pour laquelle on a mis toutes les deux, parce que si l'une tombe, l'autre est une mesure structurelle.
Oui, mais l'autre, c'est 2027.
Qui reste en place. Ça dépend. Ça, c'est la proposition. Donc, on doit encore attendre pour voir quelles seront les dates finales, qu'est-ce qui est adopté, qu'est-ce qui est accepté par les co-législateurs.
Je croyais que vous l'aviez mis dans les sanctions pour que ça puisse aussi être un cas de force majeure. C'était plus un truc juridique.
Différentes raisons, différentes logiques, effectivement, pour aussi le mettre en place à travers les sanctions. Tout à fait. Voilà. Autre question pour Anna Kaiser. Yes, please.
Hi there, Chris Powers from Euractiv. I just wanted to follow up on the answer to the previous question where you said that when there's peace in Ukraine, there may be a drop in the sanctions on Russia, and I wanted to check if that's indeed the Commission position and if there have been recent discussions about this.
Well, I have to be very clear on that. That was just to describe how sanctions generally work. That was not to take any kind of stance to the current sanctions and what we are discussing. I'm absolutely not going into that discussion, but that was just to illustrate the difference between measures under sanctions and legislative proposal that the Commission is making. Sanctions, temporary, legislation, indefinite.
But this being said, yes, the logic of the sanctions is to create a change of behavior, right? This is the logic behind. This is the logic of putting forward 19 packages of sanctions, is to really bring Russia to the negotiating table and as a means to put an end to the war, indeed. So that's the logic behind these 19 packages of sanctions. Other questions to Anna Kaiser? Oui.
Oui, Olivier Beau, AFP. Je ne suis pas sûr que ce soit pour Anna Kaiser, mais peut-être pour Olof. C'est sur la proposition qui avait été évoquée de mettre des droits de douane sur les importations de pétrole russe. Est-ce qu'on peut savoir quand il y aura une proposition présentée au Conseil? Merci.
On n'a pas besoin d'appeler Olof, pas encore, parce qu'on n'a pas encore un timing. On travaille sur cette proposition, mais on n'a pas encore un timing exact pour partager. Okay. Autre question pour Anna Kaiser. Again, I have several hands online. Are they for Anna Kaiser? They seem to be. Lorenzo Consoli.
Okay. Yes, it's about the answer that Anna Kaiser gave about 2035 target for car emissions. Can you hear me? Okay. Yesterday, the Commissioner Extra in the Parliament in Strasbourg said very clearly that the target of 2035 is not going to be revised. There was a clear request from the right-wing groups in the parliament about that. And the answer was quite clear. We are not going to revise the target as such. What we are going to see is the way to reach the target, how to go there. I'm surprised that you didn't say this in your answer, because it's clear that what they are discussing today in Germany is exactly the revision of the 2035 target, if this is something that is possible. But the position of the Commission should be clear on that. And Extra yesterday said very clearly we need to give certainty to the industry about that. So why didn't you say that in your answer? Thanks.
I am very happy for your input to this Q&A session today. I am happy to say that absolutely on the record. That is also what the President has been saying, and then been very clear that we're staying the course and we are sticking to our targets. What we are obviously willing to look into is how we best achieve them, and one way that we proposed earlier this year was to give temporary flexibility to the car industry But of course, I mean, you also referred again to the German car summit today. We do not have any comments to make on that. We will, of course, follow with great interest and read the speeches, etc. But it's not for us to make comments of the views expressed there. It is our job to express our policies and our views here. But thank you for bringing up Commissioner Hoekstra's comments yesterday. Yes, I can absolutely confirm that that is the direction of travel where we are going.
Thank you, Anna-Kaisa. Still for Anna-Kaisa, Eleonora Rinaldi.
Yes, thank you very much. Part of my question was already answered just now, but I just have a quick clarification. Anna-Kaisa mentioned a public consultation finishing tomorrow and a proposal coming up. Could you clarify which proposal is this one? Because there are several ones. So could you just clarify which proposal you were referring to?
We are only still talking about the, well, I mean, apart from the gas business, on the cars, we're talking about the same, which is the revision of the 2035. So the public consultation finishes tomorrow, and then that will be still followed by an impact assessment that we do internally. So no need yet to start holding your breath. It will take a while until we have all the internal procedures carried out, and we will then have a good idea of where we want to go in the future.
Good. No more questions for Anna-Kaisa. I think you had a fair share, Anna-Kaisa. We can change topic, and for the lady here in the front, hi.
My name is Antoinetta Rossi, and I'm from Politico. Sorry, I'm just putting this on silent. A number of news outlets today, led by Der Spiegel, published an explosive story alleging that Hungarian intelligence officers were posted in the permanent representation and were trying to befriend Commission officials to then co-opt them to spy on behalf of Hungary or Orban's government. What is the Commission's reaction to this?
Thank you. Indeed, we've seen a number of reports on that front. Balázs.
Indeed, the Commission is taking note, of course, of all the reporting on the subject matter today, according to which there have been espionage operations pursued by a Hungarian intelligence service against the EU and members of its staff. The Commission takes, as usual, such allegations very seriously, and we remain committed to protecting Commission staff, Commission information and networks from illicit intelligence gathering actions. Now, this is a matter of operational security, which is why, as usual, I won't be able to comment much, but what I can say is that we will be setting up an internal group to look into these allegations.
Thank you. Balázs, on this subject? Yes, please.
Yes, a follow-up on this, because these press reports also say that when this spy network was operational at the permanent representation of Hungary, the ambassador was Oliver Várhelyi, who was later a commissioner and still a commissioner. So when Mr. Várhelyi got his security clearance to be a commissioner, have you been aware already of these allegations?
Look, so members of the college, basically, when it comes to their act, they have to follow Article 2 of the Code of Conduct and also Article 245 of the treaty. So in terms of their ethical behavior, this is kind of the framework that they have to follow. And of course, in general, it is their responsibility to ensure that they comply with the treaty provisions and the Code of Conduct. And as I say before, assuming their duties, they also undergo a thorough scrutiny process, including a hearing before the European Parliament. And to answer your specific question, I don't think we had this type of information at that moment.
You have a follow-up? In the back, sorry.
Yes. Another follow-up. Yes. Another interesting part of this piece was that Hungarian intelligence services were actually able to send a seconded worker here who worked here for a period of time in security field, and he or she had also access to very sensitive data. How is it possible you don't check the background of and it was actually reported, according to these press reports, to the Commission. How is it possible you don't check the background of these seconded workers?
Okay. So I don't have any information about this specific point that you raise. As I said, as a matter of general practice, this is something that we look into, but it's an operational security matter. So other than saying that we are setting up a dedicated group to look into it, I won't be able to comment any further today.
Thank you. Yeah, Antonetta, still on the same topic?
Sorry, can you explain this internal group? Are you saying you're launching a probe into the incident?
I said we are looking to set up an internal group. This is a decision that has been taken. I have no further information to share at this point in time.
Jorge?
Hello, two questions. The first one is, has the President been informed about the allegations, given the severity that these reports are portraying regarding a sitting member of the college? And second, that she planned to speak directly with Commissioner Varhelyi to see what happened, to actually, get his version personally? Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. Yes, this is the type of information that reaches the President, obviously. I don't know. I cannot tell you about what the President will be doing about this, but it's shared, of course. Magnus?
Thank you. Also on this, I understand you've told the Spiegel that Varhelyi has not violated, has not been guilty of any violations here. I just want you to clarify. Then, does that mean that the behavior described in this story is allowed? To, for example, offering money to Commission's colleagues in exchange for information and having them specifically report to an EU ambassador?
Well, let me underline again that we are talking about allegations. These are allegations. We are looking into them. There is a specific internal group that is going to be looking into these allegations in more detail. And again, I set out the provisions with which members of the college have to comply. We have the code of conduct, in particular Article 2. We've got Article 245 of the treaty. It is their responsibility to ensure that they follow these provisions.
Absolutely. Thank you. I see questions online. Are these still on the same topic? Balázs Márton.
Thank you. My name is Balázs Márton from Telex, and I have a general question without this specific article. Would it be considered to be indicative of sincere cooperation to conduct such actions that are detailed in these articles against an EU institution by any member state government?
Well, when this type of information is shared with us, we look into it, and that's precisely on the basis of the information shared. We are looking, and as Balázs said, a group is set up to look precisely into these allegations. No more questions on this. Then we can go back to Magnus and his original question before I forget. Thank you, Balázs. Magnus, rare earth.
Yes, exactly. So the first question is: does the Commission see this as retaliation for the upped steel tariffs from a few days ago? The Chinese decision to bolster export.
The whole question, so that we are all on the same page.
Right. The China has today announced that they're going to bolster export limitations on rare earth minerals. Does the European Commission see this as a retaliation for the EU's decision a few days ago of upping its steel tariffs to 50%?
Thanks for your question, Magnus. Here's what I can say on behalf of the European Commission. We are concerned by this announcement. We are studying the details. President von der Leyen and President Costa discussed these matters in detail with Chinese President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang during the EU-China summit held in Beijing this July. At the summit, they agreed to upgrade the bilateral dialogue on trade to enhance transparency and establish guarantees for European companies, particularly in the supply of permanent magnets and rare earth elements. The Commission expects China to act as a reliable partner and to ensure stable, predictable access to critical raw materials. We will assess these latest developments in this context. I would also remind you of the important work the Commission is doing to diversify our sources of supply for critical raw materials.
Magnus, you have a follow-up.
Yes, you almost got ahead of me there. You say you're diversifying sources of rare earth minerals. Could you specify which countries and where you are seeking this specifically? And a more general note, if you move the focus away from China, is the Commission worried about what this might mean for the efforts to rearm Europe?
Let me just, as a matter of introduction, I mean, we are very much aware of the importance of critical raw materials in general, and therefore there's been sustained and structured action to ensure diversification of the sourcing of critical raw materials for quite some time now, and we'll come back with details on this. And you will remember that notably in the context, for instance, of the G7, and I'm thinking of the most recent one in Canada, this was one of the topics discussed with G7 partners, and precisely bringing up the subject of how the G7 can cooperate with each other in terms of further developing the possibility to source and to process critical raw materials. Olaf, anything to add in terms of details? I know we also have a number of partnerships with different countries. Sorry? And it's very relevant not just for our green transition, but also for our defence, precisely as you say. And here I pass the ball for more details.
I have nothing to add to what you said, Paula. That was a perfect answer. I mean, we've been very clear for a number of years that we are working on diversification of sourcing supply for raw materials as a matter of priority. We have a Critical Raw Materials Act. I would encourage you to go back and have a good look at it. There's tons of good stuff in there. We have strategic projects, 47 I think at last count, no 60 in total, on precisely this topic. We have a stockpiling strategy, and we're looking at ways that we can improve the access with specific partners around the world. Chile and Argentina are two that spring to mind. I can provide you with reams and reams of extra information on this, but this is a top priority. We're working on it in the context, as Paula said, of our green transition, of our defence and security ambitions. But I mean, rare earth minerals, critical materials are required across the board for our European industry, and therefore it's a top priority.
Top priority for the President herself. You know, this has been part really also of the political priorities for this mandate. Yes, please.
A quick follow-up on the defence aspect. So the announcement from China says that defence companies specifically will not be getting licenses for rare earths. So I'm wondering, given that, what additional measures the Commission might be considering to support defence companies?
Thanks for your question, but as I said, this announcement just happened. We're looking into the details, and we'll reflect on all the dimensions before we decide on next steps.
Thank you. The questions to Olaf. Yes, please.
Hi, Peggy Collin for Euronews. Do you confirm that the US has sent to the Commission a document demanding that US companies are exempted of the due diligence directive? And if that's the case, what do you reply to such demands?
Thank you for your question. I confirm that we are currently focused on the faithful implementation of the EU-US joint statement, which we believe is essential to preserving our unmatched transatlantic trade, protecting businesses and safeguarding jobs. This statement is the basis for a joint strategic cooperation between the EU and US, notably on steel, where we just proposed measures, as you know, against global overcapacity, and we're now focused on finding common ground with the US and working out an arrangement on this. We are not going to comment on a blow-by-blow basis on what is said and what documents are exchanged in the context of our ongoing talks with the US. We are focused on implementing the joint statement. I invite you to reread it. Many of the measures in the joint statement have already been implemented, as I told you they would be, and now we're focused on implementing the rest.
Yes, you have a follow-up?
Yes, the US Chamber of Commerce has also published a document asking the same thing.
Our answer will be the same. Yes, please.
Joachim Clementi from Estonian Public Broadcasting. Could you just say, I mean, if we're talking about green laws in general, do you view these as part of trade negotiations with the US, or is this something separate for you? You know, are you talking about green laws in implementing this joint statement you've made?
Look, we've been very, very clear from the get-go. We're talking about what's in the joint statement. Read the joint statement. That's what we're focused on. We've implemented a bunch of things from it that are already bringing positives for the European economy. Now we're focused on implementing even more. We've also made abundantly clear from this podium for many months that our laws, our European regulatory autonomy is not up for discussion. Our trade partners around the world are welcome to raise any issue they want to raise with us, including these, and we're happy to discuss them. But, just for avoidance of doubt, let me say it once more. We are not rolling back on any of our laws, on any of our own EU regulatory autonomy, not with the US, not with anyone.
Thank you. Other questions to Olaf? No. We change subject.
Yeah, hello, Luka Hachidze, Formula TV Georgia. The Speaker of the Georgian Dream Parliament has responded to the EU's recent criticism by saying, when you don't have an argument, call your opponent a Russian. Do you have any reaction to this comment, or maybe some kind of clarification regarding the latest statement about the Georgian Dream government conducting Russian propaganda? Thank you.
Thank you. Certainly not on the comment. But otherwise, Anita?
Thank you. Just in terms of the context and the actions that are clearly textbook Russian propaganda inspired, when we look at what is happening in Georgia, we see that facts are speaking louder than words. When you need to jail your opposition, when you go after independent media, when you target civil society, when you need to change laws so that your ruling party is in advantage, you're not speaking the language of democracy. These are the actions. From our side, we have always condemned any forms of violence, so we're strictly against that, including all the verbal attacks that we see from the Georgian Dream that are some desperate attempts to mask a repressive regime that is now being put in place.
Thank you, Anita. Yes, please.
group of Georgia, I also want to ask about Georgia. More than 1 month that Georgian Dream gave the answer regarding visa-free regime. So maybe do you have some update when we can expect assessments on this answer, or which procedures then will be? And also a few days ago, European Parliament voted for visa suspension new regulations. So am I understand correctly that if it will be necessary in future, these new regulations will be used to any countries which is using visa-free with Schengen zone, including Georgia? Thank you.
Thank you. This will be more for Marcus regarding visa. Let me just make sure that we have no further questions to Anita. I think we have at least one online from Yolanda Costa.
Yes, hello. I have a question on Gaza. Indeed, I read the statement from Callas and von der Leyen, but what role can and will the EU play in Gaza the coming weeks, months, etc.? Thanks.
So it's actually for Anwar, but we'll get back to your question on Georgia. Indeed, you referred to the statement put forward by the President this morning following the news, the good news, the very good news, that Palestine and Israel are closer to a peace deal, which we very much welcome. And as it has been the case so far, let's recall that the EU has been the biggest supporter of Palestine, of the Palestinian Authority, and we are committed to also helping in the reconstruction of Palestine, and looking forward to a situation which will allow for such reconstruction, for such a recovery. But Anwar.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Paola. Indeed, the EU is well positioned to contribute to President Trump's peace plan. The EU High Representative has also been quite clear about that we have an important role to play and that we should also be part of that. This is due to our consistent political and also financial support to both Israel and also the Palestinian Authority and the Palestinian people, as well as regional integration. We are exploring a range of options, in particular contributions related to humanitarian funding, also CSDP missions, reconstruction of Gaza through the instrument announced by the President von der Leyen at the State of the Union, as Paola mentioned, together with the Global Alliance for the implementation of the two-state solution. So the EU is ready to help and to take its part.
Thank you. Any other questions for Anwar? Oui.
Oui, merci. C'est un peu un follow-up de ce que tu dis. Est-ce que l'Union européenne, qui a été, on peut le dire, exclue totalement de ce qui s'est passé sur la scène des négociations entre Israël et les différentes parties, est-ce que, au moment où un plan de paix peut être mis en œuvre, est-ce qu'elle a l'intention d'essayer d'être plus présente, d'être plus prise en compte? Est-ce que ça peut, par exemple, passer par des conditions qu'elle mettrait à l'aide financière qu'elle va inévitablement apporter et, comme vous l'avez dit, qui est très conséquente? Est-ce que c'est une possibilité qu'on peut envisager?
Il faut aussi rappeler qu'il y a plusieurs façons de contribuer à un processus de paix et que l'Union européenne l'a fait de façon systématique, aussi dans sa diplomatie, et pas seulement, dans les entretiens avec les différents leaders concernés, et aussi avec des mesures très concrètes, notamment les propositions de sanctions qu'on avait mis en place ou qu'on a proposées. Mais Anwar, pour quelques détails de plus.
Merci Paola. Ab initio, je m'inscrirai en faux quand il s'agit de ta prémisse, Olivier, mais c'est la tienne. Je rappellerai le soutien et la position de l'Union européenne quand il s'agit du travail et négociation du cessez-le-feu, ainsi que le rôle d'un de nos États membres quand il s'agit de l'initiative franco-saoudienne que nous avons également vue à New York. Cela étant maintenant dit, nous disposons, nous, Union européenne, d'une expertise unique dans un certain nombre de domaines qui sont fondamentaux dans l'après-conflit à Gaza pour le jour d'après. Et c'est dans ce contexte-là que s'inscrit également la participation de la haute représentante Kaya Kallas cet après-midi à la réunion de Paris qui a été organisée par le ministre des Affaires étrangères Jean-Noël Barrot. Et quand il s'agit des spécificités du rôle de l'Union européenne, cela fera l'objet de discussions lors des prochaines réunions avec nos partenaires, mais également au niveau des ministres des Affaires étrangères de l'Union européenne lors du Conseil des Affaires étrangères.
Merci. Pas d'autres questions pour Anouar? Non. Alors, je reviens à la question concernant la Géorgie et les visas et je demanderai Marcos de nous joindre. Merci, Anouar. Et puis, je vois que Marcos aura aussi une autre question, vraisemblablement. Donc, for the question on the visa, can you just repeat in one sentence, so for the sake of the recording, that we have it together with a reply?
Have some updates when we can expect answer or assessment. And am I understand correctly that these new regulations, if it will be necessary, it will use regarding all countries who under free regime in Schengen zone?
Thank you, Tamara. No updates from the last time you asked about this. The Commission will assess the measures taken by Georgia and their compliance with the recommendations that we've put out in the context of the next visa suspension report. You know we have raised concerns about serious breaches of fundamental rights and freedoms in Georgia, and we have also issued recommendations regarding the visa-free regime. Anything else will come with time. So now, on a different topic, which is the visa suspension mechanism, and which is a horizontal measure that applies to all countries that have a visa-free regime with the EU. We welcome the adoption by the European Parliament earlier this week of the new rules on the visa suspension mechanism that we proposed in 2023. This follows a political agreement earlier this year, and it's now for the Council to also endorse the agreement before it can enter into force. Now on the content, the visa suspension mechanism can already now be applied in case of sudden influx of irregular migration, lack of readmission cooperation or security risks. And now the new rules introduce new grounds for activation. These include, for example, lack of alignment of visa policy, investor citizenship schemes, but also hybrid threats, instrumentalization of migration, and the deterioration of EU external relations with a third country. And this can exclude, for example, grave violations of fundamental freedoms and also serious breaches of international legal standards. In summary, the new rules will allow for swifter and more decisive action when it comes to visa suspension. And with the new grounds to suspend visa-free regime, there will be swifter and more flexible procedures. But again, this is a horizontal measure that applies to all countries that have a visa-free regime with the EU.
Good. And I see a question online on a different, very different topic, but also for Marcus. Is there a follow-up on this question? No. So we come to you. So I'll give the floor to Yorick Dupont. Online.
Yes. Oh, I got it. Yeah. I have a question on the regulation to prevent, combat child sexual abuse. Considering the failure of the Danish presidency to get a majority of member states to agree with its compromise texts in Coreper yesterday evening, and the fact that a privacy derogation will end in April, does the Commission plan to take action to avoid a legal grey zone? Is it under consideration to retract the current proposal for regulation and try to get a new one on the table? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions. So what I can say is that, of course, the discussions are ongoing in the Council, and we encourage Member States and the European Parliament to enter into negotiations as soon as possible. What we've said already in the past weeks is that this proposal is about protection of our children against a terrible crime, one that happens more and more online. The detection of child sexual abuse material through companies is essential for rescuing children from ongoing abuse and to bring the perpetrators to justice. A couple of figures: up to 80% of the cases that we see now are only started because we have reports from the providers, and we have had over 60 million pictures, videos, and other files of child sexual abuse detected worldwide in the year of 2024. So what we need is indeed a legal framework, because without such a framework, the interim regulation that was just mentioned here will run out, and we will be without a proper legal framework at the EU level. This is why the Commission continues to work with the Council and the European Parliament to reach an agreement. That's the goal, as soon as possible.
Thank you. Is it still to Marcus? Yeah, go ahead.
Matthew Newman from MLEX. Just to follow up on that question about right here, on the expiration of this legal framework, is the Commission working on a plan B? So April is, almost tomorrow in the legislative sense. We're here mid-October. Would the Commission already be working on a new extension? And the European Parliament has stated on multiple times that this is not acceptable to have one extension after another.
Thanks very much for the follow-up. We're working on Plan A.
Focusing all our efforts on Plan A. Please, still to Marcus.
Yes, thank you, Dusan Gaj, Serbian TV. My question is about a new entry-exit system that should enter into force gradually, starting from this Sunday, 12th of October. Are you confident that this gradual rollout will go smoothly without major hiccups and congestion at the border, especially at the road borders, external EU borders, which is particularly relevant in the countries of the Western Balkans, which are surrounded by Schengen countries? And could you also remind us what the gradual application exactly will mean in practice? Thank you. And just to signal you, I will have another question on enlargement later. Thank you.
Thank you, Dusan. I will try and reply quickly and in one go to your questions. This Sunday, 12th October, the progressive start of the EU's entry-exit system will be launched. This is a significant step towards a more secure and efficient border management system for the EU. What happens in practice? From 12th October onwards, so from Sunday, Member States will start electronically registering the data of non-EU nationals that cross the EU's external borders for short stays. Member States will do so progressively. That means they start with some border crossing points for a period of 6 months. The 6 months is the transition period. At the end of this 6 months period, the entry-exit system will be fully deployed at all border crossing points, and passport stamping, which is happening now, will be replaced with electronic recording in the system. The new digital system will provide reliable data on border crossings and systematically detect overstayers and cases of document and identity fraud. And it will make traveling easier and smoother for travelers. So what's new for travelers? From now on, non-EU nationals will have their passport data, also biometric data, and entry and exit data registered at the border crossing points when they first enter and exit the EU. Each subsequent entry, so any entry or exit later, will then only require a very fast verification because it's already in the system. To sum it up, safer and smoother traveling for all.
So eventually this should simplify and make it faster and make it simpler. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to set out this new system which is coming into place as of Sunday. And I see that there's still quite some interest, but we want to leave some questions for tomorrow, otherwise you don't know what to ask. You had announced that you still had a question for Markus. No question for Markus. We give it one more question. I see a lot of interest there. Go ahead.
Hi, yes, this is on nature restoration. Yes.
It's good to every now and then also have a question on that important topic, so go ahead.
Yeah, so basically as part of the nature restoration law there was also a report promised that was supposed to come out on the financial instruments. We now have October. Why is this report late? Is it IT problems, or can you give me any indication when this report will come out?
Maciej.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. So what I can say is that indeed the upcoming financing report for the nature restoration regulation will map the funding sources, funding gaps and funding opportunities for nature restoration. We're preparing it. It will come hopefully soon. There is no IT problem here. And I can say that we'll publish it in due course.
Okay. We don't have an exact timing. You want to follow up?
The Austrian Minister for Agriculture and Environment says that this report is basically incremental for implementation. Do you agree with this view?
I wouldn't comment on the statements by the Austrian Minister.
These reports are meant to take stock of the implementation. Then we can define it and call it in different ways. Okay, and we give the last question to you before we go, at least on our side, for lunch, because our morning started many, many hours ago. Go ahead.
Question. So it's on enlargement, as I said, and specifically on the growth plan for the Western Balkans. It's been now 1 year since the Commission approved the reform agendas of all countries concerned. So I'm interested in your assessment of that, and concretely in case of Serbia, when will Commission publish its assessment of the reform steps claimed as achieved by Serbia? There is and release related funds. There is a delay with this, if I'm not mistaken. It was supposed to happen already sometimes in June. We are now in October. So what is holding this back? And more broadly, now 1 year after the application has started, only 2 countries have received some funds, Montenegro and North Macedonia. Do you consider this as a good pace of reforms? Thank you.
Thank you, Dusan, for the question and to allow me to explain a bit the state of play on the growth plan in the Western Balkans region. So since May 2024, our offer to the Western Balkan region through the growth plan has brought concrete benefits to partners in the region and to citizens. And now we are making progress in the implementation of those reform agenda that we have for the partners in the region. So it's really important to mention again that this work really lays the groundwork for the preparation for the integration into the single market and brings benefits directly to citizens. In terms of state of play, at this stage we have 5 reform agendas already approved. Bosnia and Herzegovina has submitted last week, if I'm not mistaken, is a reform agenda which we are now assessing. 4 Western Balkans partners have received the pre-financing, and in terms of the release of first funds following reforms by the partner countries, we have already, as you mentioned, Montenegro and North Macedonia, which took place over the summer. Now, looking ahead, indeed, we need to see reforms on the ground. This is a performance-based instrument, so we need to see the implementation, and this work needs to continue. We will support the partners on the ground to do this work, and we will continue on this front. When it comes to
Maybe I think what we can, and also to make your life easier, Guillaume, anticipate some news that we had planned only for tomorrow when we update the President's agenda. But you will be pleased to hear that President von der Leyen will be doing her Western Balkan tour next week. and so there will be more news on the front, on this front, and on possibly also other questions that you and other press representatives may have. It's her annual tour of the Western Balkans. Usually we would announce it today, but given also the interest, let me already share it today. And with this, we would like to wish you a very good afternoon. Thank you for your interest and questions despite the late hour.